Yeah, what up, though? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I'm your host, Source, of course. We're gonna do a little different today. This is gonna be a different one. Normally, I bring on somebody who is usually connected to Richmond in some type of way, and that's kind of what we've been built around thus far. Today's episode is during the week of the beginning of the holiday season for many, and a lot of people are showing appreciation, being grateful. And I just want to be thankful in this time for everybody that's been on the podcast thus far. Actually, I want to be thankful for more than that, but for the people who follow the Smitty Source Instagram and Twitter. I'm thankful for y'all, those who follow the Source NCO podcast underscore RVA Instagram. I'm thankful for you all as well. And the people that subscribe to the Source and Company YouTube channel, the Source and Company Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcast channel as well. I am thankful for you all as well. Also, want to send a shout out to my wife, Nicole, my daughters, Kelsey and Jada, for always holding me down, and Kelsey especially because she's my editor on the slide. Don't tell nobody though. So I'm grateful for her. And yeah, my mom, all my family and friends, associates, all that. Thank you for rocking with me. I appreciate you. So I want to run down every guest, every piece of company that I've had on the Source and Company show thus far. It's been 38 specials. 38 specials. There's been 38 specials thus far, and this is number 39. So I want to send some appreciation and thanks to everybody who's been on. Of course, this year's been different. It's been a different year between the global pandemic, COVID-19, which has changed literally everybody's life in some way, uh, the continued murder of unarmed Black people by law enforcement, which led to the uprisings we've seen globally over the past, 8 months since the murder of George Floyd, and everything that's come from that, all the moments that have come from that. And with this being an election year and going through the process of the election between the figuring out who the Democratic nominee was going to be, up to this whole fiasco with 45 and Biden, then eventually Biden being named president, and the first woman to receive such a high such a high status in U.S. government, Kamala Harris. Salute to her, Vice President. Respect. And yeah, it's been a crazy year. But if you're watching this and we made it this far, so let's keep it going and show a little love for the people who have been on with me thus far. From the top, episode 1 was my man, Rock, Ahmed Rockman, Lil Rock, Rock Daddy, whatever you want to call him. He's multiple things. Actually, he's a rapper, former rapper for the most part, but a rapper. He still spit bars when you need him to. And Disorganized Union, which is a group from Richmond. If you're from Richmond, then you know. He's got his Spike Punch show. Shout out to Sean, Fuma, and Brittany, and Steve as well. And he's got Black Wonder Films, Spike Punch Media. He does a lot of film work, including the virtual 2 Street Festival that took place, it was October, that took place in October. So shout out to Rock for everything he's doing and has done thus far. Episode 2 was Tisha Michelle. Tisha is a spiritual advisor. She has also, in the COVID space, she decided to start her own network via Roku. It's called the HAG Network, HAG, Heal, Align, Glow. And man, that was a big move. So shout out to her. She's also one of the people who pushed me to start sourcing company, said just go for it, just do it, and your voice needs to be heard. So thank you to her for that as well, Tisha Michelle. Episode 3 was a little different. I had reached out to, because obviously COVID-19, I had reached out to a few educators in the area just to see how they were feeling with the schools closing and students being at home, trying to teach virtually and looking forward into what was going to happen this school year that we're in now. I spoke with Travis Ridley, who is an elementary school principal, Sonia Branch Wilson, who is a guidance counselor, and then Kelsey Robinson, who is a high school teacher. We talked about everything, like I said, from the students to administration to the staff to parents, and how things were being handled, how we all thought they would be handled going forward. And there's been a lot of changes, obviously, but we appreciate the teachers being out there. I know it's not easy at all. We know it's not easy for parents, it's not easy for students, it's not easy for teachers. And a lot of times I think people expect too much from teachers without the financial response, without them getting their just due financially. So much love to all my educator friends, teacher friends, anybody in the school system. We appreciate y'all. All right. Episode 4. Episode 4 was my favorite DJ Lonnie B. Lonnie B. We all know Lonnie B. If you're from the city. Well, I mean, he's a national DJ. He's a nationally known DJ. Heavy Hitters DJ crew. Obviously, he was a rapper, DJ, on-air personality, and he's known in the city, man. He's known in the city, heavy in the city, and known nationally as well. So shout out to Lonnie B. Plus, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'll put it out there a little bit. Lonnie is one of the few people who actually asked me what I needed in order to start a podcast, or at least what I thought I needed to start a podcast. And he helped me obtain things that I thought I needed. And without looking back, I didn't ask him to do it. He did it out of the kindness of his heart and his appreciation for me, hopefully. So just want to show him a little love once again. Thank you, Lonnie. I appreciate you. Always salute to you. All right. Episode 5, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a Hermitage High School grad. He ended up between record labels and magazine companies. He ended up being a Hollywood, I don't know if exec is the right word, Hollywood insider, though, definitely, because he has worked on the sets of many a movie, TV shows, from Marvel stuff to more recently, he worked on Lovecraft Country, or worked on Lovecraft Country. And they just wrapped the other day on the upcoming Aretha Franklin show, which is obviously about Aretha Franklin, about her life. It's called Aretha. They just wrapped on that. I watched the video maybe Wednesday of Courtney B. Vance speaking to the cast and crew and just acknowledging it was the last day and showing appreciation for everybody. So big ups to Anthony. Actually, I think I'm going to see him soon. So, with a mask on, of course, because, I don't play about this COVID at all. So shout out to Anthony. Number 6. So family, Raz Rashid, a.k.a. Jamal Williams. Jamal is my cousin by marriage, but my cousin. He's married to my cousin Jennifer. He is an MC. He's a rapper. He's an artist. He is a high school assistant coach, high school basketball of one of the better teams in North Carolina regularly. He actually built a relationship with one of his players, Chris Clemens, who is currently on the Houston Rockets. And Raz did a song recently called 2 Minute Warning, with Chris on the intro and on the outro. So that was dope. Plus, that's his favorite, Rise's favorite basketball team is the Houston Rockets. So dope, in fact, that Rise and Chris just did an interview recently with, I think it was the sideline reporter for the Houston Rockets. So that's dope. If you're on social media, go check that out. Raz Rashid and Houston Rockets. It's up everywhere. So shout out to him. Plus, Primo just played Raz. Raz has a joint from one of his more recent albums with Joel Ortiz, and Primo played that joint on Shade 45 maybe 2 weeks ago in his set. So that's pretty dope as well. So shout out to Raz Rashid. Next was Monty Garside. Monty Garside is an attorney in the ATL Shouty area. He is also the owner and operator of Confectionist Bakery, and he's a Duke fan. He loves some Duke basketball. So if you got to shout out FAMU, of course, can't skip over FAMU, undergrad at FAMU, but he is a big Duke fan with the law school of Duke. And like I said, he's an attorney, new husband, salute to that, and father and bakery owner and operator. So if you are in the ATL, or really if you're anywhere, Confectionist Bakery, he'll get you straight on those cakes and pies and type things that y'all love so much, especially around the holiday season. So holla at El Monty Garside. Okay. Next up, we had Brandon Rush. Now, I didn't know Brandon prior to the interview. I know his brother, Dave. Shout out to Dave for linking us up. Brandon is an actor. He's been in, I don't know, maybe like 20 different things. I know he's been on Blue Bloods, Criminal Minds, and recently, actually, he was just the first show to go back to work after COVID began was The Bold and the Beautiful. And he was on set with The Bold and the Beautiful as they went back to work a couple of months ago with their newest episodes. So salute to Brandon Rush. Big salute to Brandon Rush for another reason as well, because he actually linked me up with the next guest I had, which was someone who I don't think I'd ever have met if I didn't link up with Brandon. That is Jim Clemente. Jim is an author, podcaster. He was a producer on Criminal Minds. He was an FBI agent, retired FBI. He actually worked on the DC sniper case and wrote a book about it as well. So that was a great interview, real deep. I mean, he told me about so many things, including back in the day when he was, or before he was even born, his family's interaction with the mob. Yeah, is real. And yeah, how he became an attorney at the state level in New York and then became an FBI agent, etc. So his life's been pretty real. So salute to Brandon for linking me with him. And Brandon hooked me up with another guest as well, I'll mention in a moment. But shout out to Jim Clemente. Hope all is well for you, sir, in LA, if you're still out in LA. All right. My 10th interview, 10th episode was Dwayne Folks, another Hermitage High School grad. He is a soul singer and business owner as well, but we mostly talked about him and his music career, from his connections with 757, Pusha T, and the people down there, all the way up until recently, actually currently, with his latest project, where he had taken a break from the music game, but decided it was no better time than the present. Came back, dropped a single called "The Truth." That joint soared up the charts, specifically overseas. And between The Truth, and then he dropped another single, and he has an album called 1977. That joint is dropping on December 7th, if I'm not mistaken. December 7th, D Folks, 1977. That should be dope as well. Shout out to D Folks. So I was 10 episodes in, man. At that time, I mean, I was excited. I'm still excited about talking to different people from Richmond, connected to Richmond, whatever the case may be, and letting them tell their stories of from when they were small until today. Anything they want to share, they have been comfortable sharing it with me, and I appreciate that. All right. So the next episode after Dwayne was Brad Gamlin. Brad's my guy from flag football. Actually, that's how we met. He is the owner of Advanced Home Inspection. He's also the creator, owner, operator of CVFA flag football, which is Central Virginia Football Association. It's a flag football league in the area. He is also the commissioner of the state flag football league. So the whole state of Virginia, he is in charge of that, and he's put together a bunch of tournaments, done a lot of things in the area, and he's a good guy. So I enjoyed our conversation, hearing how he moved from Northern Virginia to Spotsylvania, ended up at VCU, bounced around a little bit, how life led him up and down, and he ended up where he is now. So shout out to Brad and his family as well. Episode 12, I mentioned Brandon Rush and who he linked me up with for interviews, including Jim Clemente. He also linked me with, I can't even remember his full title, but Dave Bauman is a Marine stationed in the Philippines. He is the, I don't want to say incorrectly, liaison to the ambassador of the Philippines. He's the military or the Marine liaison to the ambassador of the Philippines. Yeah, that's pretty heavy. That was a heavy gig. We talked about so much, including his time in the military, his having a family, being away from them for however long at a time, and his connection. He's actually from 757, but his connection to Richmond is that he was sworn in to the military in Richmond. So that was a dope connection. I thought that was like an important moment in his life and led him to where he is today. So shout out to Dave. Hope all is well, and stay safe. And thank you for your service as well. Next, Monique Washington Jones. Monique, I've known Monique since like middle school. She is the owner operator. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners that we rock with thus far. Monique is the owner of WKD Karate for Girls, which is actually in Maryland. She is from Richmond, though. She is a Meadowbrook graduate, if I remember correctly. Yes, she is a Meadowbrook graduate. She is, like I said, the owner operator of what started as the only girls dojo, only all girls dojo in the country. From what they were able to gather, this was the first and only at the time all girls dojo in the country. So respect to her for starting that. I mean, that's dope. Of course, a lot of times girls get less attention than boys when it comes to sports, athletics, or things like that. And for them to have a dojo that is all girls as far as students, all women as far as instructors, and the master, the sensei, Monique Washington Jones at the helm. So shout out to her and her husband Dave, my man, my middle school basketball backcourt partner, David Jones. So one love to them. Who else we got? We got my man Yong Shin. Yong is another person that I met through flag football. He is the owner of K-Town Kitchen. K-Town Kitchen and Bar is the actual name. I call it K-Town Grill all the time. It's just the first thing that comes to my mind, K-Town Grill. Located in downtown Richmond. He is, it's Asian fusion cuisine. He was born in South Korea. Dave Young was born in South Korea. And at a young age, his family moved to the U.S. for a better life. The old story of moving from what I guess you would call a third world country to the United States for a better life, and he was able to establish that growing up between Florida and all over the Midwest and different states, ended up in Richmond, and that is where he has made home with him and his family and K Town Kitchen and Bar. So if you are looking for a different spot to check out for some Asian fusion food, please holler at my man Young Kitchen, K Town Kitchen and Bar, K Town Grill. All right. And he's a Washington fan, and they just smacked Dallas. So there's that. Gotta take a shot at Dallas while we're here, right? All right. So next, as I mentioned back in episode 3, I had educator Sonia Branch Wilson as part of the panel where we talked about school. Little did I know she is related to Hakeem Green, who ended up being my next guest. Hakeem Green is an MC out of Jersey. He was in a group he is still a part of a collective called Channel Live. All we do is spark madism. Yes, that Channel Live. Between his teaching, his activism, his music career, riding the streets regularly with KRS-One, who is one of my favorite 3 rappers of all time, and his growing up with Naughty by Nature. So many stories were shared, and he even spit some bars too. I think he was trying to egg me into rhyming. I don't know if he knew I rhymed, past tense, I rhymed or not. It felt like he knew, but I didn't take the bait. I let him have his moment. He's got plenty of moments, but I let him have that moment too. And he spit some bars for us. So we appreciate Hakeem Green for joining the show. It's on the strength of his cousin and my relationship. So respect due for that. Who did we have after that? Marseille. I think we had Marseille. No, actually we had Nikki Kimbrough. Nikki Kimbrough was next. Nikki Kimbrough, actress, Broadway theater actress, workout queen. She was actually on Star Search on the reboot of Star Search, which was in the 2000s. She was on that show. She has her Get Fit with Nick program that she does regularly. She's been on all the morning shows, ABC, CBS, NBC, Steve Harvey's show. She's been on numerous shows as the fitness person when they have somebody come in and they do a workout, whatever the case may be, try out some new equipment. She is one of those people that was definitely in the mix, and she's still doing it today. Matter of fact, I'll get back to her in a minute. And she was also my high school, not classmate, but schoolmate. She's a couple years behind me. High school schoolmate. Shout out to Manchester Lancers, of course, L4L. Y'all know what it is, L4L. All right, so after Nikki and I had a super long conversation. Like we talked for what ended up being close to 2 hours. So I cut that episode about 50 minutes in and came back with an episode with my man Marseille, who is a videographer. Let's see. He's the photographer, videographer. He does it all out in LA. He's VCU graduate. He's worked with, I can't even remember the names. They like Sierra and Beanie Siegel, Travis Barker. There's plenty of people that he's worked with, the whole list. Dance Moms, the whole Dance Moms. He was doing some work with them as well. So shout out to Marseille. Plus he has some great stories, including trying to figure out how to decide between leaving a job he was doing and going to where his mom was sick. So it was kind of like trying to make a decision that I need to leave immediately and or I need to finish this job because I have another day or two to finish up, whatever the case may be. And he kind of broke that down for us. So we had some dope conversations. And he told me how he met Beanie Siegel, crazy story, which was real funny. So shout out to Monse. Now back to Nikki Kimbrough. She brought in her her man, you know. I want to say boyfriend, but you know, at a certain age, you feel like boyfriend is kind of not the right phrasing. Significant other, maybe. I don't know. Whatever y'all feel is right. She brought in her guy, Billy Davis. Billy has his own story. This man, okay, at this point, he has one leg. He has one leg because he was in a motorcycle accident and left on the side of the road. And he told the story of the man who found him and got him well enough to be able to hold on and not die in that moment and get to a hospital and go through all the rehab and everything that he's gone through and been through since then. So he told the story of that. He actually told the story of the whole accident, which was crazy. Yeah, so shout out to him. He and Nikki actually have started a podcast themselves, a show where they speak with whomever. Actually, they have conversations and fun conversations with friends of theirs or people that you may recognize, including mentioning again Naughty by Nature. Vin from Naughty by Nature was on a few weeks back, and the name of the podcast, name of the show is The Amputee and His Girl. The Amputee and His Girl. Billy's hard. Like, I don't know him personally, but I know he's hard because this man is out doing triathlons and all types of stuff now. Forget what he was doing beforehand. He's doing this now as an amputee. So shout out to him for not quitting. Like a lot of people, I mean, you couldn't blame somebody for quitting, but he is not taking that mindset and is still rolling. So respect due to him for that. And let's see what else we got. Episode 19. Episode 19, DJ Mike Street. Mike Street is what I've learned is one of the biggest radio personalities in the country. Mike Street, yes, I remember the days of Mike Street being just a DJ. He was just a DJ. I say just a DJ because that's all. I mean, he was from the Richmond area, but I only knew him from being a DJ, being part of the Super Friends crew. He had a DJ show or had his radio show on University of Richmond radio on Saturdays, which is kind of where the Super Friends, Skills, Mouth, Honey B, and everybody else came together and would freestyle and kind of gain camaraderie there. Street ends up as a DJ on Power, and now he is a radio personality on 106.5 The Beat. And he is one of, what, I think it was seven or eight Black people with a Marconi Award. Look it up. And you're going to be like, word? For real? Yeah, so it's that real. Shout out to him. Recently, he's done interviews with the Lox. He had the Lox when their album just dropped recently. He spoke with Busta a couple weeks ago when his album dropped, and he just shared on IG his conversation with Meg Thee Stallion that just took place. So shout out to Street for always keeping it moving. And he is one of the few who doesn't mind sharing Source and Company with his followers. So I definitely appreciate that. And yeah, Chris is a cool dude. So he's always been cool from the time I met him playing football. Probably playing football, yeah. Flag football again until now. It's been probably 15, 20 years. So he's always been a cool dude, good guy, and I respect him for everything he does. All right. Episodes 20 and 21 were, they weren't as well received as I thought. I thought this was a crazy. I was like, bruh, I got a Richmond police officer and a Richmond protester, someone who is regularly out in these streets protesting since the George Floyd murder. So out at the monument or the Marcus David Peters circle, there have been many interactions between police and protesters or just citizens who are out and protesting or enjoying the moment, just being together, showing solidarity, and trying to make the world a better place. So to have a police officer, my man is K, and someone who's out there every day on the other side, but which seems like opposing sides, my man T, come together and have a conversation. I thought it was dope. Um, but sometimes things don't get seen, sometimes they do. Shout out to both of those guys for doing that because I know on T's side it can't be easy for him to sit down with the police, especially a lot of times his people are not necessarily with the police, and they are definitely on some F-12 regularly. That is a mind statement and a statement that's definitely made. So for him to sit down and do that, and for Kay to be willing to sit down and talk with him as well, and with me, was dope. So salute to both of them for taking the time to do that. That was episodes 20 and 21, Police versus Citizen. All right, so 22, episode 22, I talked to my guy from high school. Like, this dude was my teammate, my basketball teammate. He was McDonald's All-American. He ended up playing at UVA. Eventually, he played overseas in different countries. We spoke about his life overseas, converting to Islam as he was I think he was in Israel when he converted to Islam, and what he's doing now. My man, Yuri Barnes, Big Yuri, came to man. I remember the summer before he came, or right before he came to Manchester. They were like, yeah, it's this guy getting ready to move to Richmond. He like 6'6", 6'7", and he's going to Manchester. Of course, we're like, ain't nobody coming to Manchester for real. But yes, he did. He came over to Manchester, moved in from North Carolina, and led Manchester to a state run. I believe it was a loss in quarterfinals of the states. And like I mentioned, McDonald's All-American. So he was definitely a baller. And now he does his regular DJing thing. He's on IG, Twitch, Facebook as DJY, WHYBE. And I believe it's a question mark after the YB. DJYB. And he does lives DJing every Wednesday. So check in for that. I think it's at 7 o'clock Eastern every Wednesday. He gets loose on the ones and twos. So definitely holler at Big Yuri Barnes. Thanks for hollering at me. And get me Jason Williford. Can you get Jason Williford? I need to reach out to him. All right. So we kept it in the basketball world for episode 23. I reached out to Coach Larry Starr. Larry Starr is the girls basketball coach or women's basketball coach. It's high school, so I guess it can still be girls. Girls basketball coach at Monacan High School. They are a program that won 3 state titles in a row, and they've won 4 in his time. They actually were co-state champs this past season as COVID hit, and we couldn't get through the state finals. So ended up being co-champions there. So that's one title. The other 3 titles were with WNBA rookie last year, Megan Walker, who ended up playing at UConn. And Coach Starr and I talked about coaching great players. He coached 1, 2, 3, I think at least 6 D1 players up to this point, just from maybe 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago to now. He's had like 5 or 6 D1 players, which is kind of crazy because, I mean, it's not easy to walk on or to show up at D1 with a scholarship and play ball. But he's had a lot of success. He's had a lot of good players, a lot of success. So we talked about that. State run. His visiting the Marcus David Peters circle with players and other coaches who not necessarily everybody was on the same side of this thing. Not everybody was F12. Not everybody was, uh, I'm here against the police, but they all got together as coaches and mentors, took players down there, had some discussions in regards to what was going on in the world, what is still going on in the world, and specifically in Richmond. And got to respect him for that. Can't knock the hustle. So shout out to Coach Starr. Good luck this year. Hopefully you all get to play for real because we know it's been up and down as far as how things would go with sports in Virginia. So good luck with that. All right. Next up, who do we have next? Shoot, it was raining Chesterfield basketball for real. That was this makes 3 episodes in a row where I had somebody connected to Chesterfield basketball on. Happened to be my bro since we were like 6, 7. Dr. Michael Torrance. Dr. Torrance is currently the president of Motlow State Community College in Tennessee. He's a real deal, bro. He's done a lot in his time, and man, to see him go from the chubby kid, the chubby kid around the neighborhood to, I remember him being most improved when we were in 8th grade, most improved player on our basketball team. And you could see it. You could definitely see his game go from never playing real competition to excelling against real competition, which led to him being in the running for all district and all metro, that type of stuff in his years at Meadowbrook. And he has a story. I'm waiting for him to write this book because it's going to be real. It's a lot of things that go into that made him who he is at this point. And he's still climbing, man. You would think that president of a junior college, a community college, would be high enough esteem. He's still climbing. So looking forward to seeing what's next from my bro, and proud of him as always. Next up, we had Trek Life. Trek Life is he's an MC that I actually connected with on MySpace. I think it was MySpace. It was before Facebook jumped off for real. Definitely before Instagram and Twitter. Linked up with him, hit him back. Like we talked back and forth, but then I hit him up one time, asked him to jump on a song. He said yes. So we did a joint with me, him, and my man's Legacy from Hall of Justice, Justice League, Cass' little brother and all of them. But yeah, Trek Life, dope MC, cool dude, does his thing, social media presence, and he's actually currently doing, which has zero interest to me, but a lot of people are into The Mandalorian. This dude is doing recaps of The Mandalorian right now. And I'm sure it's dope because he's a very detailed dude. And yeah, but me, I'm checking out on that joint. I don't want nothing to do with it. But y'all definitely, if you're into The Mandalorian, holla at Trek Life, TrekLife. All right, let's see. 22, need 4, 25. Episode 26, L.C. Baker. I'd heard the name L.C. Baker. Somehow, back in the day, I fell out of watching sports regularly, watching local sports, I should say, regularly, high school sports. And I missed most of the career of L.C. Baker. He is one of the best overall athletes in Richmond history. I think a lot of people would say that this man played football. He broke the wide receiver record, single season receiving record in high school. And that was after playing quarterback for 2 games. So he broke that record. He was like second team All Metro in basketball. Turned around and ran at the state level at track, and he was an A student. Bro went hard. Bro went hard. Ended up going to JMU, playing football there, leaving his mark at JMU. He is now a realtor in the Richmond area. LC Baker. He's a cool dude, good dude, and father, husband, and like I said, a good dude. So holler at him for your realty needs. LC Baker in the Richmond area. All right. What up, LC? What else we got? What else we got? Oh yeah, back to family, more family. I got more of my wife's family than anything else, which is wild. But the Coleys, we had the Coleys on. The Coleys are a collective of mom, dad, two brothers, two sisters, and a bonus brother in the mix as well. They, I don't know what happened, but they decided to start making videos, and they've had multiple viral videos in the last, probably in the pandemic, in this pandemic state. They've had multiple videos go viral between Keon and his acting. He's an actor. And you got Kajon, who plays football. And now, just as of Black Friday, the two youngest ladies, Kate and Kaya, started their singing. Well, they've been singing, but they dropped a single, a snippet of a single under the name By Design. So check them out. 20 by Design 20, the number 20 by Design 20 on Instagram. So shout out and love to the Coleys. All right. Next up, Big Sty. So I remember when I heard Big Sty. Big Sty is a rapper from Richmond. This man dropped It's a Problem. It's a Problem was a record that dissed pretty much every rapper ever known to man. Like everybody. Everybody. He went at everybody. So much as to mention Big and Pac, and this was post death of both of them. Mentioned up, he was so fed up with the rap game, saying F you to everybody. He wanted to say F you to Big and Pac too. Crazy, right? Yeah. But that joint was crazy. The song was crazy. It's a problem. And it definitely made a name for Big Sty. He ended up rocking with Jay Prince. I mean, he had offers from all over the place, which we discussed on the show. Ended up rocking with Jay Prince a little bit. Uh, Relationships with Ghetto Boys and Lady of Rage, and people, excuse me, people all across the industry. And he's back actually right now with more music. He's dropped a couple of songs with videos recently at 50 years old. And he is quick to tell you he is 50 years old and he'll still give you these bars. So his album, Shoot Till You Run Out of Neighbors, Styron, which happens to be his first name, will be dropping pretty soon. So shout out to Big Sty and good luck with that. And he has a new website. I believe it's BigStyPresents.com. BigStyPresents.com. All right. Yeah. Episode 29. 29 was my man, Chris Sims. Chris is my sports bar podcast partner. I don't talk that much about the SBP on Source and Company, but the SBP is a sports group on Facebook. We talk sports, hip hop, TV, movies, beer, whatever the case may be. We talk about it in the group. So Chris and I are the admins, moderators, whatever you want to call it, of that group. And we also do a podcast, the Sports Bar Podcast, sometimes live, sometimes recorded, but we talk sports, obviously, a lot of sports. And in this time right now, it's a lot of NFL previews of games that are coming up, maybe some NBA stuff mixed in as far as signings, a little hip hop when an album drops, a little bit of everything. But we have a good time on a daily basis in the Sports Bar Podcast group. So if you like sports, hip hop, TV, movies, beer, just all around good camaraderie, just having a good time on a daily basis, check out the SBP Sports Bar Podcast. on Facebook. All right. Shout out to my man, Chris Sims. Sorry what happened to Dallas. Episode 30. So I mentioned I had Lonnie B on early on in the process. And now I got to talk to my guy, Adolphus Maples, aka Danger Mouth, another member of the Super Friends crew from Richmond. And we talked about his multiple businesses that he has going on right now, a lot of business interests that he has. Um, Being signed to Missy previously, signed with Missy and Timberland, and how that didn't work out the way he hoped it would. But I know he learned a lot from that. And just watching Missy and Timberland and their work ethic, I'm sure that had an effect on him, as he kind of mentioned in the interview as well. We talked about his love for his HBCU, Norfolk State, and being the dad of three boys, especially going through what has been going on in the United States in the last forever, but specifically in 2020. So that was a great conversation, and definitely a lot of business tips in there that entrepreneurs should really, really sit down and listen to, because he gave some input and some thoughts that not everybody really thinks about off top when you think about owning a business. All right. So shout out to Mouth. Got his 50th birthday coming up real soon as well. Episode 31. Another person I met through flag football. Flag football has been a big part of my life, really, as far as relationships between football, school, just sports in general, and doing music, and just being in the city. Obviously, it feels like everybody knows everybody, but a lot of times you meet people in different places and develop relationships. So my friend Vernice Love was on the show. She was episode 31. She is a former VCU track star. I think she still has a record at VCU. If I remember correctly, she still has an indoor record at VCU. Um, she works for the city of Richmond in dealing with small women's and minority businesses and bettering their situations, making it easier on them. Especially right now, they have a program that people can get grants and or loans from that program and help out with their small business. So shout out to her for what she's doing there. And we talked about her Wheel of Fortune experience. She is one of maybe two people I know that have gone on Wheel of Fortune, and she actually got busy on that joint. Like she got real busy, and she told the story that it's hilarious for real. It's a great story, and she's cool people. So definitely check out episode 31 with Bernice Love. Episode 32, back to the Coley family. Had to bring in one of the cousins, Deja Coley. Deja is what I like to call a monetary beliefs consultant. She helps people with money. She's not even 30, and she helps people with money, and it's real. She's a real businesswoman. She's a graduate of ODU. I hope I'm not lying. ODU, and she's an engineer. She owns multiple businesses, and she has a nonprofit called Girls Like Me, where she assists young ladies between the age of 13 and 17 with self-esteem. So she's dope for that. Plus, she's my people's anyway. I love her. And yeah, Deja Coley. Check her out under It's Deja Coley on IG. All right. Next up, didn't know this young lady. This was our first meeting, but thanks to Anthony Davis, I linked up with Faith Wilkerson. Faith is the owner operator of Unlocking RVA, an events business. Basically, she promotes events in the city, and she's heavy into keeping Richmond alive from COVID to now. Even now, a lot of things are still going on in the city, socially distanced, of course, but a lot of things are going on in the city, and she's a big part of that. Plus, she's a professor at University of Richmond, which is dope. Professor in them streets, keeping the party going. And she's from NYC, so we definitely had to get into a little bit of hip hop talk as well. So high quality H2O. Had to clear my throat. Anyway, shout out to Faith Wilkerson. Then I had my man's Noah O. Noah O is the CEO of Charged Up Entertainment. He is CEO, as I just mentioned. He's an MC. He stays in them streets as far as the protests have been concerned. He's been in the streets. He's definitely been a voice for the people. And he ain't even black. Like that's the big respect that I give him because he doesn't have to do it. He can, not that it's been easy for him. He's half Filipino, half Italian, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously growing up in a mostly black area or around black people, being the standout, the outcast, whatever you want to call it, is not a cakewalk. Whether it's just being in the streets with kids or the way people look at you, whatever the case may be, but he is definitely a stand-up dude, and I respect him. I appreciate all he does in the city, musically and socially, consciously. So shout out to my man Noah O. Plus, he and I did a couple joints back in the day when I was a rapper. Did y'all know I was a rapper? In case you didn't know, I like to mention it every once in a while. Anyway, shout out Noah O, my guy. Next up, another link up from Anthony Davis. I had the chance to sit down with CBS, what is it called this morning? Not CBS this morning. Yeah. CBS this morning host, Reba Hollingsworth. She is, like I said, TV6 host, news correspondent, journalist, whatever you want to call it. She's also an entrepreneur. She has her product, the AHA Wrap, which is used for women, I would say predominantly, who are in the business of recording something and don't want to have a microphone strapped to their back or wherever else they strap microphones. It's a device that you wrap around your leg and holds your microphone and whatever other information you need, it holds it there. And yeah, so she promoted that. She told stories of being from Texas and her love of all things Texas, including football, moving to Virginia, and then working in the DC area as well. And we had a great conversation. So shout out to Reba Hollingsworth for taking the time to sit down with little old Sauce and Company. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Next up, back to the hip hop world. It's a lot of hip hop, I know. I mean, like I said, did y'all know I was a rapper? Okay, it's okay. Sean J. Period. For a long time, I did not realize that Sean J. Period, who is a hip hop producer, was from Richmond. He was and is from Richmond. Actually, he was born in Charles City, if I believe. I think he said Charles City is where he was born and moved to Richmond. He actually went to Verona High School and ended up moving to New York after he, his cousin, and another old friend, John Ha, got together and created a group called Down South. So they ended up getting a record deal with Big Beat, moved to New York, doing an album. Things didn't go the way they would have wanted. Eventually, he became a producer. He was mainly Most Def's producer to start out. Obviously, with other groups, he was a producer as well, other individuals, but notably, it would say Most Def's producer, and he actually did two joints off the Black Star album, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. He did Hater Players and Children's Story. So he definitely was a big name as far as the underground scene with Raucus and the Lyricist Lounge time. That particular time, like he was heavy. You would always see his name, him, 88 Keys, different producers, Dilla, different producers around that time. So shout out to Sean J. Period. We had a great conversation about his new business as well, Drum Stacks. It's a sound providing company. So he provides sounds, not for shows or anything, provides sounds to producers. So you have your catalog of sounds, you purchase it, however the case may be, and you have access to those sounds, which you may not have access to in other places. And it's a dope idea, dope business idea. And he's actually in the midst of a beat contest right now using his drum stacks sounds and having producers submit to win a prize. So that's dope. And he's a cool dude as well. So shout out to Sean J. Period. All right. Episode 37. Wanted to switch it up again. Reached out to three of my guys that I know personally. One from back in the day, we used to be up in the club together, up in the Ivories, twice a week. And the other two I actually met through flag football again. Flag football, three firefighters in the 804 area. My man's Dijamar Perry, Rob Harris, and Nathan McFadden. Three firefighters at different stages of their life and different stages of their careers within the fire department. So, first of all, respect to them for taking on that task, that service, that public service, and keeping us all safe. And we talked about the firehouse, you know, being black in the firehouse, being black in this particular industry, how they got into it, and different things. So, and including their relationship with the police, how that may have changed in these last 8 months, or if it's changed in these last 8 months. So, shout out to those three and every other firefighter in the 804 area. We appreciate and respect, love y'all. Thank you. All right. And most recently, the most recent episode 38 of Source and Company was with Micah Bam Bam White. I know you hear the name, you're like, who is that? I know that name. Micah Bam Bam White is a comedian. He's a nationally respected comedian. He is, like, if there's an event in Richmond, it's hosted by Kelly Lemon, Unlocking RBA, Micah Bam Bam White, He's definitely in the mix of all the people that host things in the area. Comedian, actor, philanthropist. He's a volleyball coach out in Chesterfield, high school volleyball coach. We talked about that. His growing up in Alabama, traveling the country with comedy, and his master's in divinity that he earned from Virginia Union University, another HBCU shout out. Yeah, I had to know how he even got into that, like how that ended up being a thing. And was he planning on taking it to the pulpit at some time soon or eventually down the line? So we got into all that good stuff. I appreciate him joining the show as well. Thank you, Micah. Had a good time. And he actually had me back on his show. He had me on his podcast as well. That hasn't dropped as of yet, but I appreciate the opportunity to jump on other people's shows as well. So I definitely appreciate that. All right. Woo! 38 specials. Man, that took about an hour. It took an hour to go through them joints. But it's definitely worth it. I definitely appreciate the people who have taken the time to join me on the show, to be my company in those particular episodes. And I'm grateful, thankful, appreciative of all of them. All right. So episode 40 will be on the way. We'll see who the next guest is. But until then, thank y'all for listening, watching, tuning in, following, subscribing, all that good stuff. It is greatly appreciated. And happy holidays. Stay safe. Stay out of COVID's way, and be good. Source.